Hey, what's going on guys? Shane here. And today I want to share with you my self-defense tool that I invented a couple years back, but ultimately decided never to patent it and never to sell it. And I'll use this video to explain why. So fightTIPS started back in 2003. I was a 13-year-old kid with a black belt in Taekwondo. So with credentials like that, you can imagine the types of tutorials I was putting out.
One motion. Swap and grab and headlock.
But I continued studying and I continued to evolve my understanding of self-defense. I studied under people who had spent a lot more time studying the topic than I had. Tony Blauer was one of them, and he really taught me a lot. He really opened up my eyes and shifted the way that I train, shifted the way that I teach. And one of the things that he talks about is the difference between a street fight and self-defense, right? He calls it a douchebag fight versus a violent encounter. One that's avoidable and one that is completely unavoidable, all right? What I realized was that a lot of my videos that I had uploaded when I was younger weren't self-defense videos. They were street fighting videos, how to win a street fight.
Whew. That'd be 3 days. Yo, dude, you're such a bitch, why won't you even fight? Yo, dude, I don't even know you. Dude, why would I fight? I don't even know you, dude. Yeah, dude, I don't even know you. I don't even want to fight you, dude. You asked for this. fightTIPS!
Right, because a lot of the stuff that I taught was battle tested. We fought a lot in Philly. And don't get me wrong, I mean, like the techniques and advice in those videos, it's all sound, it's all good stuff. Who remembers the one weird tip to win any street fight? I think at this point it has like 5.5 million views. It's ultimately just telling people to carry a mouthpiece with them in their pocket, right? For intimidation purposes before a fight, less susceptible to a knockout, you don't bite your tongue, etc. I still got people that come up to me to this day and they're like, yo Shane, I got my mouthpiece on me because of that video. But that's the thing, is everyone wants that secret weapon to win a fight. And it's not a tool, it's not what I'm going to show you in a minute, it's not the mouthpiece, it's mindset and it's awareness. That's what I've come to realize. All right, so more on this in a minute. Right now I want to show you the tool that I invented. So real quick on how I came up with it. I had the idea in mind, if there was this worldwide battle royale, what weapon would I choose? And it has to be something realistic. You can't say like a 45 with infinite ammo. So what would it be? And right away, I start to think like melee or firearm, right? Something that's handheld or something that can shoot long range. And I think I'd rather have melee, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. And I went down the list. I was like, a sword, something lightweight, samurai, maybe knives would be better. Ultimately, I got to 2 shields. I thought 2 shields would be the best. Something that kind of connected to my forearms, where I could still use my hands to grip things, to grab my opponent's weapons or limbs or head or something like that, and then I could elbow, but I could also block with these forearm shields. But obviously no one's going to wear forearm shields unless you can make them like fashionable forearm shields. There you go. You guys, if you guys can do it, you can take 100% credit for it. So that didn't work, but I can continue going down the list, and I was thinking about, all right, well, what could I use? Because I do like the idea of using my forearms to deflect knives, to deflect blades. But I also want it to be an attachment, an extension of my body, right? Something that doesn't really hinder me, something that doesn't require that much skill to use. So what I came up with was the R.B.L. The Retractable Baton Light. Wouldn't be a fightTIPS video if I didn't beat up Bob, now would it? Would it, Bob? You're the man, dude. No fussing, no complaining. Back up, Bob! So that was the idea. I mean, I wanted something that was concealable, but also had a quick draw and automatically got me into this position. That's why I had to go down the arm. So as you can see, when I draw it out from here, whether you have a holster, you just have it right in your waistband. It comes up, and again, I want to be able to use one hand to measure or to frame or post out, create distance. Someone's in your face, and as I do, now I can pull this out and I can strike right from here, bang. Again, all you have to do is quick pump, and it expands, bang. Elbows, you spin it around, longer range, Man, I was so passionate about this thing for such a long time. I was talking with engineers and police and military, and everyone liked it, right? And for good reason. It's a sleek design. It has very sellable features. It's concealable, right? Because it retracts. It's easy to use. It doesn't take much skill to throw a punch or to deflect or to spin it around. And you get a longer range attack weapon. It's basically a tonfa, for those of you who are familiar with like traditional martial arts weapons. And that's where I got the idea from. And then of course there's a light attached to it, and everyone likes flashlights. So like I said, it's very sellable, and I know that this could have made a lot of money. So it was hard the day that I decided to nix it and not pursue it anymore. Ultimately, it went against my morals and personal beliefs. Or I guess what had happened was my personal beliefs on self-defense had changed, and that's why this thing now just sits in my closet. So I want to share with you a quick story. I've shared this one in the past, but it was a shifting moment for me. It was a light bulb moment when I was taking personal security classes at 7-4 Para. We did these really cool drills. There was really good instruction there for home security, for self-defense, just really realistic drills, mindset, drawing, getting familiar with your firearm, quick reloads, accuracy, all those types of things. But the one drill that we did was we set up a room to look like a bedroom. And it was a scenario where someone had broken into your house and they're going to attack you. You lay down in your bed and the instructor asks, all right, do you have a security system in your house? Like right now, do you have one installed? If the answer is yes, then you get a little bit extra time. You can hear him coming and you have time to prepare. And if the answer was no, then you have to go right away, right when he starts at the end of the bed. That's when you hear him and you wake up. And every single person let me backtrack. So he says, how many of you have a firearm, a gun in your house? And everyone raised their hand, and he's like, all right, where do you keep it? And everyone's like, on my bureau, or right to the side, within arm's reach, pretty much everyone said. And then it was, well, is it loaded? And half the people said yes, half the people said no, I have kids in the house, I can't keep it loaded. And it's like, all right, well, now all of these things you need to consider. If there is someone at the foot of your bed and they're about to attack you, do you have time to reach for your firearm, to load it, and then aim it? No. The answer is no. They're going to be there, they're going to be grabbing you, it becomes this wrestling match for the gun. And that's what happened with this drill with every single person. Because when the drill went live, when he said, go, you're awake now, every single person went to reach for their gun. Every single person, every single time. And what happened every single time was the attacker got there at the same exact time, and it became this wrestling match, and the attacker got the gun and ended up killing the victim, the person in bed. I was the only person that, instead of reaching for the gun, I went right to the attacker. I didn't think, okay, I gotta grab my gun. I thought I gotta use my self-defense skills. I gotta use hand-to-hand combat. And then I was able to restrain the attacker, and then in the drill, my wife calls the police, right? So I was the only one who actually survived that situation. But for me, I was like, you can't put too much trust into a weapon, whether it's a melee weapon, whether it's a firearm. I don't like thinking about the next step. And that's what I realized, that my confidence, I didn't want to put my confidence into this thing, because what if I didn't have this thing? What if it got caught when I'm trying to draw it out? What if he saw it, or a friend saw it and a friend grabbed it, or whatever? Instead, I like having the confidence just in my own body, right? To be able to just use my hands, use my limbs, clinch up if I have to, right? Or verbally diffuse the situation, right? If someone's in your face yelling at you, is it avoidable still at that point? And there's times that you can tell, right? No, this guy is ready to go. He's rolling his sleeves up. He's spit's coming out of his mouth. He's ready to go. He's ready to fire, and I'm just ready to defend, right? I'm ready to just flinch and bridge that gap into my next move. But again, I don't want to leave my confidence in a tool, in a weapon, in a gun, in a knife, in a rebel. I want it to be in my body and my knowledge, and just trust myself. And that's why so many people will just say, I don't need self-defense, I don't need martial arts, I'm just gonna buy a gun. And it's like, all right, but are you practicing a quick draw on that gun? If it jams, are you familiar with how to clear it? The mechanics of everything like that, you have to think about that. It's not as simple as just again, that one secret weapon that everyone wants to have. It's not that simple. But with all that being said, I do want to share a link to Icy Mike. You guys follow Icy Mike, Hard to Hurt? He just did a video about a shield.
Bad guy is coming down the hallway.
Yeah.
I got this guy.
Like, yeah.
And this guy.
Yeah. Like
Boom! Have at me! Rapscallion. Dude, I'm coming in. Boom!
And then like what weapons you would use in like a zombie apocalypse or like post-apocalyptic every man for himself situation. It was a great video. I definitely recommend that. But yeah, so on that note, I want to share with you, you see the light? I want to share with you what I believe are the 4 most important self-defense tools. Again, the first one is mindset and awareness. Don't have your headphones in. Don't make yourself a victim or more vulnerable. Second is understand fear and how to manage it, and adrenaline. Talk about now with the spear system with Tony Blauer. I highly recommend that. He pretty much weaponizes the flinch. And no matter what, you're going to flinch. No matter how much training you have. Cue the Muhammad Ali video.
What happened to your 2 fingers? And she said,
no matter how much training you have, if someone catches you off guard and ambushes you or cheap shots you and attacks you and you're not ready for it, you're going to flinch. Know how to weaponize the flinch and be comfortable in that situation. Know how to recognize fear and manage your fear and then use it to win the fight, all right? And be confident in these situations and train these scenarios. The third is martial arts, mixed martial arts, right? If after you weaponize the flinch and you throw that knee, or you go to your boxing uppercut, or you go for your wrestling takedown, that's what Tony talks about. He says it's the bridge to your next move. All right, so if you're a wrestler and you feel most comfortable going for a double leg takedown, you're still going to flinch, then you can lower your level and shoot that double leg. Let's say the fight then separates and it turns into what we would call a douchebag fight or just a street fight, right? Where you are squared up with someone now and it's go time. Well, again, you need to be able to manage your fear and adrenaline, all right? So that's the first one. But also now this is where all the training comes into play, right? Are you doing your sparring? Are you doing realistic partner flow drills? Are you training for combat? All right, so that's why when people say like, is this martial art good for a street fight? The answer is yes. Like every martial art is going to be good for a street fight as long as your training is realistic, as long as you're training for a street fight, as long as you're training this and you're training your body, tempering your body, you're training your reaction time, like all of these things come into play. And then the last one is some people are gonna laugh at this, but I did a video a couple years back saying that I invented my own martial art, and it was a clickbait title. I say right in the very beginning that I didn't invent anything. It's just combining mixed martial arts and parkour and how it favors like the smaller man. In that video, I use the example, if Brock Lesnar walks into my garage right now and goes, we're fighting, I'm not gonna go, all right, Brock, let's do it, and square up with him. I'm gonna go, I got this baton in my hand, I got a tripod over here, I'm gonna throw the tripod at him. When he flinches, I'm gonna hit him with the baton, and then I'm gonna Jackie Chan jump over the car and run, because I'm at a disadvantage because of size, right? That's just 100% the truth. People always say in a street fight, if you can escape or if you can run, then do that. Well, there has to be a little bit more to that. What if you have to get past an obstacle? What if your back is to the wall? What if you can't just easily run and escape? Now, like I said, with the parkour aspect, you don't have to do aerials and backflips. It doesn't have to be anything flashy. It has to be effective. But the Showtime Pettis kick, where he runs off the cage, is very effective. So there are times where you're going to use flying knees off the wall, jumping off a tree to throw a kick. So that's why I do say, you know, for the smaller person, parkour is probably like the best martial art to train. And again, even if gun fu is your thing, if you are the guy who says, all I need is my gun and I'm good to go, again, then your training, your MMA portion of that has to be training for a quick draw. Has to be training for, if someone's in your face, right, how are you going to create distance before you draw that gun? If someone grabs your wrist and redirects the barrel, do you know, are you comfortable throwing headbutts? Are you comfortable throwing elbows, shoulder thrusts to create space and get your firearm back and then, you know, get them within sights? So these are all things that you need to consider. Again, those are my 4. It's mindset, spear, MMA, training, and parkour. All right. This is kind of why I changed direction. So like I said, in the past 2 years, I'd say I really shifted the way that I look at combat, the way that I look at street confrontation, the way I looked at self-defense, and ultimately that's why I decided not to pursue this. I know it would probably make me a lot of money, right? Especially if I sold it to police, but I don't want police having this thing. They don't need it. I think police more so would benefit from jiu-jitsu training. What I decided to pursue instead was combat sports equipment. So next week, Wednesday, here comes the bump. FightTipsGear.com is opening up August 26th. We got hybrid gloves, we got boxing gloves, we got the new Fight Gear apparel line dropping. Link will be in the description below. Instead of buying one of these, the R.B.L, please support by training safely, realistically, and don't be a douchebag. That's the moral of the story. Alright guys, until next time, I'm Shane with Fight Tips for the Underdogs.